Michael, Jen, Sarah. If we keep popping into our event today, we had a pretty cool community building event, which was the first of its kind in Woodstock. And we brought it together against lots of backlash too, right? Because we're trying to change the landscape of how things go or how old ways are done, tired ideas. And we had a very successful day. And we learned lots of things, which probably will be able to drop lots of nuggets because I think that all of the lessons, are all intertwining no matter what business you're in. One of the key things today, Rachel, was to create certainty or reliability, not authenticity. We want to be show up as reliable.
Yeah, credible, I think was one of the ways you
Credible.
described it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that.
Because that word authentic is so outused too now, where everybody's like, oh, I'm just my authentic self. I'm so authentically me. Where it gets played out and you see online too, and you're looking at the people, you're like, you're not authentic. I know you.
You know what
So,
amazed me the most about it
mm,
was how many different, when you looked across that group of people, how many different styles there were of how they do business, and they're all successful.
Yeah.
mhm.
I think the key thing holding it together is they do the work, but they do it different ways and it works.
And I think too, one of the key factors for all of those people, like reaching those heights of success that I thought was very telling, is there's a humility from them. They're transparent, they're humble, they're showing up. It's not like a false bravado. Um, and I think that that's one of the things, as we go forward and build our businesses to make sure that maybe not the word authentic anymore, but keeping that level of humility and sharing, right? With safeguarding, we're sharing, opening up community.
And I think it's easy to share when you're successful. Like it's easier to share your triumph, like your hard times once you've made it, right? Because then it's like, oh, look. But I think when we're starting and we're having to share those, like it's a totally different share.
Yeah.
So how would you recommend like, I don't know, just embracing that because it's important, like for sure. I'm just asking, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, one of the best ex like I don't know if it's the best experience, but I would, my experience in going through real estate and very publicly, like I think that I was coming at it from an ego-driven place, drinking, burning my life down all at once and coming as a solo agent. And then I was rebuilding that. And I had to I did have to transform, but I had transformed, but I had to come at it from building a business. And I think that the biggest strength came for me, from sharing that story. I shared that very openly because I knew that there was a lot of, negativity around it or, whispers behind it or whatever was behind it. And so I wanted to get out ahead of that and be like, this is me, fully me, warts and all. And that's where the best connection has been made. It's not in any success, it's in the hard times that I've been through. It's the struggles. That's where humans connect. We're not connecting because we like won the award. You win the awards and you're like there, but it's not connection. But you talk to another human about real stuff because we're all just humans. And intertwining that story and beginning out is very hard. So that's important to share that, right? Because everybody feels that, even if they're masked behind that cloak of, I'm great. Every single human's been through hard seasons in their life. We've had to rebuild, we've had to come back. Like if you've lived some life, and making that a part of interweaving that story, becoming the story of you. But it takes a lot of courage too. You have to be ready to be like,
Mhm. You
but
had an agent this week do something cool. It's the blonde girl. She's on here too. And she did a video about door knocking and her first time. And I'm like, holy shit, like as a new agent, I never would have done that. I would have been way too scared to let anybody know it was my first time. And it was super connective. It was really like I was like, oh, that's the best video ever. Like, look at her go. It was so good.
So that's the experience too,
Yeah.
letting people know that it's hard because everybody is afraid. Even we're all terrified. Everybody is afraid. We're afraid to go forward. We're afraid to fail. We're afraid to be like, what if, that 80% in our head that's saying you're gonna fail, you like, duh, 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 what are they gonna think of you? We all feel like that. So sharing that also, like, that builds a confidence in you. And
Mhm.
you share that. You're like, yeah, I did it, man. I think that stuff is really important. And the work that we did, Michael, you weren't here last week, talking about our values. So did everybody do that work? I know Jackie did because she shared it and I loved it. And
Mhm. It was cool.
anybody else have any experience around that?
What in picking our two favorite? Yeah, I picked mine for sure.
Good. And was the experience of going through it a little challenging? Did it make you investigate?
Oh, it sure was. I mean, there was a lot of options. I mean, there was a lot of. I could have picked a lot of things. So narrowing it down was definitely a challenge.
Good. And operating out of that, do you feel that that gives you a focus moving forward, like a North Star, creating our mission, how we're going to operate, the things we say yes to, no to, put forward?
Yeah, but what I found in there also was there was a lot of things in there that I would like to be a part of me, but am I to understand they should not be a part of me, or these two should be my focus?
I think that they're just, all of those in company, and there's lots of values that you have, but picking those two North Stars that are, what, this is what resonates in my heart, whether it's popular opinion or if it's not, because I know all of us here would say family, and we want that to be like at the top, but it could be the third, right? And it doesn't
Mm.
negate that you love your family and will go to any lengths for them, because I think that's generally anybody that has a family, you know, um, but just operating and reinvestigating that work every year because things are going to change, right? I think one year I put risk. I valued risk. I was going to be a risk taker. I was going to say yes and take risks. Weird value to go into, but it was a jump off point, right? Because I said yes to that at the beginning of the year. So I did, put a lot of things.
I did that one year. I had a yes year. I decided I was going to say yes to every opportunity, and it was an awesome year. I met my husband that year. Yeah, it's like, so you can change your focus and shift it as the seasons and as your reserves kind of change what you have in you and what you feel you're capable of. Like you can kind of dive into and channel that energy if you have more of it.
Yeah, and we're all at different seasons in our life too, right? Like my kids are grown and pretty independent now. So, I don't have the running around and the stuff and the wake up times and bed times and all the things that I did have. So it just is a different space to operate. So, does anybody have any questions that you want to like dive into before start coming at you hard and fast? Any challenges, any areas that you want to?
I have a comment, if that's
Sure,
okay. I always have a
of course.
comment. But I really love the groups component. Like you hear all the time, fake it till you make it. And I feel like your message is almost opposite. It's like, show me who you are and just connect to the right people. And I think that that is so much more powerful, and I'm really grateful. That's what I'm taking anyways. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's your intention, but I think it's way more powerful in business to do it this way. And I'm glad that somebody's verbalizing this, right? And teaching this. So thank you for that.
I appreciate that. That is our like number one message. We're always like figure out who you are and show up as exactly that. Just exactly that. Because we want to, in any business, we want to make deposits into our community, but we also want to be attracting. We want to attract instead of chase. Like if you use the laws of energy, if I'm chasing, I'm in scarcity. If I'm attracting, I'm in abundance, right? And when we're attracting business, our business becomes a lot more fun to build. We're dealing with people that we like to deal with. Um, and just that mindset, everything I think is really mindset. You see any of the successful people we sat today, all those people, no one's the smartest in the room. No one. I'm by far not the smartest in the room. I was like blown away by an iPhone trick today. I was like, oh wow, like but the key is the implementers, right? It's going to be that courage. It's the courage to stand in principle. It's the courage to implement. You know, we can all read podcasts, read the books, go to a billion seminars, but unless we're going to take the next action step, which takes courage, all of it's for naught. We can read ourselves right to death. So it is the courage to step forward, and it takes, um, like Dan Campbell, Ed, some big cojones. Our football team's winning, so anytime I can throw a reference into that, I actually will.
I had this period where I was attending all of these like training. Training is really good. It was like a lot of coaching, and I was getting a lot of advice from here, from there. It was photography based. Like I was trying to be like almost like be somebody else. And then I had a period where I had to kind of like decompress from that because I was taking so much in. Like I think learning things is good, but when your foundation isn't set like that and you're not comfortable with who you are, you tend to be very easily swayed and shaken. And that's why I think that exercise that we did last week was so good because it really kind of cements that and it allows you to kind of just always circle back to that, to what's driving you. Yeah, so just
And I think unless you have that, we'll get caught up in the next shiny object syndrome,
yes.
right? We're going to be like, we're going to avoid the real work because we want to take the easier, softer path, which is somebody saying, oh, if you do it like this, it will go like that. And we've got all these shiny objects, but we're avoiding the main thing, which is that we need to make deposits into our community, whatever community that is that you're selling. You need your clients to not necessarily even be told about what you do. They need to experience you. So when we tip into the more marketing, thinking about that as the experience. So we talk all the time about brand. Everybody's like, I want to build a brand. I want to build a brand. Very important, but your brand is built on the experiences of people in your orbit. That's it. You can have the beautiful logo, you can throw it all over the place, but your brand is your results. So when we're thinking about building, even Sarah, I know that you did some beautiful magnets for Jen. We're going to do them in our housewarming gifts. Love it. But it's that experience of when she comes to pick it up and you have it packaged and it's so great. So that is how brand is built. And we have to look at it not from this great big, spray and pray. We have to look at it one interaction at a time. How am I going to deliver the absolute best experience to somebody in my orbit? First, you're going to be you because you've attracted people like you. So that's cool. Very easy. And then you're going to treat them exactly like you would want to be treated. So, a great question in my mastermind group today was, would you do business with you? Great question. Just ask that. Would I do business with me? And build forward from there. Michael, you're opening up the painting business. What's that value add you can give to the client? How can you make sure that everything's clean? Do you love everything here, Mr. and Mrs. Little? Seen little details here. So every interaction is built on that.
Makes sense.
So it's really, the process of building out whatever your vision and goal is. It looks big like this, but it's really in the process of day to day. Day to day, wake up. Am I willing to go to any lengths today? I'm going to recommit daily to what I said I was going to do. I'm going to create experiences for people around me. And that is going to be my whole goal for the day. And it might feel like nothing's coming. Like, why isn't the sales coming faster? Like, why isn't this gelling? But if you stick in that day after day, it will suddenly, just start appearing for you. The trick is where most people fail is they get bored. Nothing that you can't look at a successful or person's calendar, and there's nothing going to be nothing exciting in there. Boring, boring. I got on the phone today. I sent out emails today. I went to training. I did this. I paid my dues at the BIA. Da, 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 da. You know, but getting really, 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 really comfortable being bored and the monotonous over repetition. I'm looking at your faces. I feel like I'm boring you now. Told you it was boring. And Rachel, you wanted to talk today on customer service.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on the customer experience. Does that sound good with everyone? Do you feel like you have a good customer experience kind of mapped out with your clients? It's funny, today they kept talking about SOPs, and does everyone know what that means? Standard operating procedures?
Yes.
Yes, it's a very corporate kind of, but the customer, it kind of hit me like the customer experience is really just another standard operating procedure, obviously with more, heart in it. I like to, you know, you're adding your personal touch, but when you kind of standardize it and continue to elevate it, it's an amazing way to grow your business, but have an impact on that. They say like 80% of your business comes from 20% of your clients, is to have an impact on those people and make them return clients. So, and you can kind of think of times that have you ever had like a great customer experience where you've actually gone and written a review like immediately after? Yeah, it's we went up north to visit a friend and we went to like, I don't know, what is it called? Cora, like a breakfast place. And it's just like an average place to get breakfast. Like you just, it's a breakfast place. But I took my kids there and they had like this little robot deliver our food and my kids were like losing their minds. They were so nice to us. Like the servers were so well trained and they were so kind and they didn't make us feel rushed. Like when you have little kids eating at a restaurant, it can be, a little stressful. You're like, everyone say thank you. You're like, freaking out as a mom. Did you use your manners and stuff? But regardless, they made that experience so good. And it was like just like going to a Cora and I like immediately wrote this like long paragraph review because they made it such a wonderful experience. And I checked their Google business page and it was like loaded with similar reviews because they knew that the customer experience it wasn't about like the food was really good, but it wasn't like it was a Cora, like it was bacon and eggs, but it's pretty hard to mess that up. But they knew that just by being amazing and kind and awesome that we would, be more likely to come back. And it was packed in there too. So but I wanted to kind of dive into thinking about every touch point within your client experience as a way to just really make the person stay, the client stay, whether it's product or service. every time that you contact your client or they contact you, that it's an opportunity to really make them feel seen, make them feel heard. And then the big one that I feel really moved the needle in my business was delight and surprise. I don't know if we talked about this at all with our last chat, but um, and delight and surprise is those little unexpected touches throughout the client journey that they weren't at all expecting. And they just feel really special. So gifting, client gifts are a way to do this. What I did is I was working with a lot of moms, so we did welcome boxes. So when they first, I'm just gonna let Carla in here. Um, so when they first entered, or sorry, were came on board and they had decided to do a session with me, I would not tell them, but I would get their address and I would ship them out a welcome box. And a lot of businesses are doing this now, but it was all based around the mom, not the baby. It was like, you know how they always say if you're going to like a baby shower, get a gift for the mom. So you do something like that, but it doesn't have to be that, but just something that kind of lets the client know that you're really excited to work with them. It's think about things from your chat if you happen to have interactions with them beforehand. Like if I knew they liked this certain brand of chocolate, I would put that in the box or um, anything that they would share, make notes about it. For realtors, a great place is to put that into your CRM or just even an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. Taking those little notes because it can get hard to remember all of those details. Like sometimes I would be like checking my notes. I actually just had a clipboard. I would keep a client file that I would put all that information onto, and I would map out the client journey and make sure that I checked off all those boxes. And one component of that was with my CRM, but
I think a good, just, I know it would seem like a very too simple, but I think it's something that a lot of people forget. Remembering everybody's names. Hey, Sarah, how's Adele doing? Like even when you're interacting with a client in a conversation, at some way through, it was really great speaking to you today, Christine. It's just signals. There's a psychological attachment that happens when you regard somebody in their name or remember, their dog's name. Very simple. It just signifies that you were listening to them and that you care about them. Saying somebody's name in the conversation is very important.
I actually received just as a side, I started following somebody on Instagram, a business coach, like some sort of a leader, and they sent me a DM. All that it said in the DM, it could have been automated, I don't know, but it was just my name, Rachael Little exclamation point. I thought, isn't that clever? Because people, the power of hearing your name or seeing your name, it's powerful. And you know what? Normally I don't always respond to those, but I did. And I just wrote his name back and said, what brings you here? And but it's a really good, it's powerful and it's a conversation starter. When people feel that's a way to make someone feel seen is by knowing their name because we live in this world where we see people a lot online. We might not know them yet, but we're all putting ourselves out there. And for someone to say your name, it's yeah, it's very
Pay you or, yeah, catch you later. I'll
yeah,
see you later, Jackie. It's just connecting.
powerful.
Like a very small, it's the nuances, it's the small subtleties that really change the game in any kind of business.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Does anyone have any questions about that? It doesn't have to be welcome boxes either. It can be like a note, like a little handwritten note. Thank you notes are a really good way to connect with people after an appointment. Just a handwritten thank you note, pop it in the mail. Makes people feel very seen and heard.
I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, showing gratitude to your clients. It's
Really
all about shifting that focus away from yourself and what you're doing for them, and it's putting it onto them and just being a good listener is really what it's all about. Um, Now, do you guys have a a framework for kind of how to design that, like how to create a good customer journey. Does anyone want to kind of jump into like what it looks like to work with you? I'm going to pick on Christine. What happens if somebody wants to work with you? They probably call you.
I was gonna say I need to create that. Like I'm coming from somewhere where that was all taken care of, so I didn't really focus on it. So
Yeah.
that's something I want to create.
You have all
I
the control over it now too, and
Yeah.
the ability to put your personal touch on it, which is really special.
I'd suggest too, I think that we all do have a framework that we operate within. We just don't have it documented. Like there's going to be certain things that will happen when the phone call rings and how you operate. If you even spend some time in ChatGPT and just put down your steps, like this is what I do when the phone rings and document that and have that process out a framework for you. And then when
Mhm.
you see that documented in front of you, you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I do. You know, it's going to lay it out for you because we're all operating with a system, but getting it documented and those tools like AI right now are so have been game changing in my business.
And you can
All report
ask too.
systems.
Oh, yeah, you can even ask it how to improve upon, like,
Mhm.
what would you add to make the client feel special? Like, ask for different pieces of input. Ask your clients as well, like,
Oh,
after
that's really good.
feedback, get some feedback from them. What would make this process easier for you?
Oh, previous client, what did you really like? And was there any steps that I could have done to improve? Looking at improving my business. So even if you're in real estate sales, that tells your client that you're still operating business and looking to level up. There's never any shame in calling a past client and saying, I'm looking to improve on my business. Can you help me?
It
Really,
feels weird at first. Do you feel like you're like,
really great connect point though. You're going to call
yeah.
the people that like you. Like there'll be like people that you can like that you've had a pretty good experience with. But what a great way to connect with your past clients, just to spend when we're like the schematics of sales or anything is getting on the phone and getting on the phone. You're like, how do I get on the phone? Like, what am I saying to these people? What a beautiful way to touch base with people.
I hired a marketing helper. Like we had some grants that came out, and that was the first thing they did is they contacted past clients that I worked with, and they asked them a series of questions. She sent all the feedback. You can just do that yourself. You don't have to spend all that money. You can just call them. It's free. And people are very happy to talk about themselves and the experience. And yeah, yeah.
You're talking my, you're talking my Toyota language now here. We're talking SOPs,
Yes.
continuous improvement.
Improvement from,
That's
yes.
how we
What
improve
did you
our
feel
SOPs.
comfortable in?
Love
I love it.
it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Toyota does that, right? Like
Oh,
it's
for sure.
yeah,
It
because
works.
it works and it's true. I think the other side of that is systems are amazing, but you also have to make sure that you're not going through the motions with your clients either.
Mm.
And the systems are there to support us, to make sure that we don't miss anything and everyone gets that same level of service and experience. But it's not an excuse to just like if I ever felt like I was slapping a welcome box together, throwing it in the mail, getting my orders packed, like that's not a good sign. And like there have been times when you felt that way, like things get busy, things get out of hand, and that's when like that gratitude piece comes in. You have to kind of be like, so you have to remember that you really have to focus everything you're doing on connection. And that's going to be the piece that keeps everyone feeling good. And you want your customers to leave feeling like uplifted. That was another exercise that I think you should do as well is how do you want your clients to feel every time that they talk to you?
Mm.
What's the feeling you want to leave them with? And you can jot that down. I just wrote my list out and I put it right in front of my desk. And every interaction, every talk, I did my best to make sure that I left them feeling, in my case, I want them to feel uplifted, cared for. Mothered was a big one because I was dealing with moms a lot. I wanted them to feel that way too. Um, yeah. And then the other thing is a big part that sometimes get missed, and this is going back a couple of steps, is managing expectations. This came up today during the conference, and I think this kind of goes this sometimes this is when you get that kind of clients that get a little out of control. Things kind of go a little bit wild, is we have to make sure they know what is expected, what you can do. And then of course, we're going to try to exceed those expectations every single time. But managing the expectations, it shows that you have done this before. You're a leader. You're the professional. So in my case, wardrobe was a big thing for photos. It would always come up. It was a sore spot for people. So I wanted them to put their trust in my guidance. So initially it started with different resources and things that I could provide to people to share with them what to wear. Because a lot of people, when they get photos done, they don't know what to wear. So managing expectations. Well, if you wear a shorter skirt, when you sit down, you're going to see the front of your knees and you're not going to like that. Things like that, like different little things that people might not have thought about. They know you're the expert. And then, of course, in my case, I tried to exceed those expectations. So we started stocking wardrobe pieces so that people could come in and borrow from what we had available. It's like a little thing, like you heard an issue, you let them know that issue's customer experience sometimes too can be problems that commonly happen in your business that your client might not even be aware of yet, is you want to get ahead of those issues and make sure that you manage them so that the outcomes are better for everybody. They're better for you because the client's happier and you're more pleased with the results, which was important to me as a creative. And then they're writing rave reviews about how easy you made things for them because you got ahead of those. So in the real estate world, Jen, do you have any examples of that?
Well, I just have this thing that I think everybody should write down and have it like I learned this week, and that was said rookies handle objections as they come in, pros handle them in advance.
Yeah.
So if we know what the objection is towards what we want to get, whatever business you're in, there's going to be objections. There could be timing, cost, delivery, whatever that is. So addressing that in advance and making sure that you understand that language in advance, in real estate sales. I know a lot of buyers and the news out there right now isn't very good, but a lot of smart buyers are investing their money in real estate right now. And here's why. You know, they're fearful, we're moving them over here. In product-based things, a lot of people are afraid to buy things or, the delivery won't be on time. Here's what I do to alleviate that problem. And then you share it out, you're answering their question in advance and letting them know that you are the pro. You're going to guide them. Remember, map tools guide.
Mhm.
We've got the map, we've got the tools, and we're going to guide you through. So that's just at the top of all of our business, map tools guide. And our messaging too, right? So when we're doing those social posts, we've got the map, tools, and the guide.
It's a huge thing for marketing.
And it's also right for customer experience because we want to be the professionals in what we do. So our job is, um, I think a lot of time when we're navigating business, we tend to go up and down with client experience, like they're heightened, and then we're like, well, we're heightened too, like, oh man, I'm mad for you. I don't know when that's coming. You know what? My delivery guy's late. It's bugging me too. So we have to operate. We have to come out in front and be like the Air Force pilot. We're coming out and we're guiding the plane. The pilot never looks back and was like, "Oh shit, yeah, turbulence. What do we do?" Right? You got to be like, "Whew." Map tools guide. Get out ahead of it. You're going to alleviate. You think of your product, your business, every single objection that there is around that. Like that would be good homework this week. What are the objections? What are the things that will stop consumers from buying my product, using my services, and you're going to handle that objection. And maybe our language in our social media posts this week will be, here's the objection, and here's how I solve it. Here's the story how I solve that.
I love that idea. That's so good. That's like incredible because it gets in the head of your consumers.
That's where we need to be. And it will start, that will create the experience for the consumer before they call you.
Mhm.
They're already going to know that you are the trusted authority on that you know what you're doing. You've handled the objection. And there's so many objections in the world right now.
And you can kind of remember that everybody comes to your business at a different time. There's like the problem aware client, there's the solution aware client. There's all sorts of different layers of what they know about your industry and your business. So messaging can kind of be changed depending on where that client is in the journey. So for example, they might not even know that a realtor's buyer's agent, you're not going to pay commission for that. Like that's paid by the seller. Like that's something that's a really common, uh, like non-solution aware client, if that makes sense.
But
So
not
they,
everybody knows that. So
yeah,
bringing down the marketing to a grade 3 level. I know that
educate.
that's counterintuitive. We want to be wordy and educated, but we have to bring it down just where it's readable, it's simple, it's clean, and format it. Don't overcomplicate it.
And that's kind of as part of the customer journey, you can kind of anticipate those objections, like Jen said, and know what level of education you need to provide to your client. And that comes into those managing expectations. You can kind of determine, like, it's always good to go over that stuff, but how much of this, or are we already at the solution aware level where this client has, worked with realtors before, they've worked with, these different industry groups. Um, and, your work is a little bit different in that case because they're going to have a different set of questions. Yeah, I think that's great homework, Jen. Um, a couple easy low-hanging fruit examples that you guys can try to improve your customer experience is just like think about a nice welcome email. Like if that's the first piece, handwritten notes are nice, but think of like the sort of things that are going to be valuable and helpful and be a shortcut for your client. Not, don't make work for your clients. That was always my thing when I'd send, initially when I started my business, I'd have like a big checklist of things to do. I want to get rid of your to-do list. I don't want to give you to-do lists. I've been onboarded for courses and things like that. And I know that's part of it, but some of the work level that you're expected to do as the client can sometimes be outrageous. Think about what's that introduction to them. And if it's email onboarding or whatever the case, make it easy. Find a way to get things off of your client's plate because that's such a wonderful thing. And it's so unusual nowadays, like with, a lot of service stuff is being put back into our hands. We've kind of shifted as a society for the sake of convenience. We end up doing a lot of the back end as consumers. See if you can take that off of their hands. Does that make sense? Like, kind of know what I mean? Like, even like banking and stuff like that. A lot of that has been put back on our plate. Like, to get an appointment, it's hard to get in to have that first one-on-one customer service.
As a consumer, I don't want to deal with people that if I like this is how lazy our society is or how lazy I am. It's just I don't know if other people are like this. I can be online shopping and sometimes my credit card's loaded into my phone and I can just check out. Other times it's not, and I have to walk into the kitchen to get my credit card, and that changes my buying experience. I will change my mind about a purchase. That's like or if I log on and it's too much work. I don't know if that's TMI and I'm a mental case, but
No, no,
that's the truth, right? So if I
everyone has done that.
I have to do it, I'm like,
The other thing too is speed. The speed that you can get your deliverables. I know that's not always possible especially in real estate, because there's a lot of unpredictable things. But anything, s- even if it's getting appointments set up, Jen, relatable, agreed. Um, my turnaround time was 1 week that your photos would be in your hands. That around here is like a 2 to 3 week standard. If you can speed up your processes and make your back end a little more efficient, you're able to really surprise and delight. And always overpromise on that point. Like, but then, sorry, under promise, don't over promise and under deliver so that you can make sure that you're really delighting your client. It's like, and then think about on the day of delivery, if you're delivering a product, what can you add in? What little extras can you put in the deliverables that are really gonna make your client's day? I know some places will do like little samples, little thank you note, an extra product, a new product that you're launching soon. I've seen that before. Um, there's so many different ways. I would include like a little slideshow that the client could take with them that they would share. I'd make some videos for people that they would share, which is good advertising too. So it's about thoughtfulness. It's not about price or cost or anything like that. It's just about just those little thoughtful touches. If you're a thoughtful person, this is like easy. You just have to infuse that into your work.
Which is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. That's the truth.
I think, like, if I can add to that, like when you're talking about thoughtfulness, what comes to my mind too is like generosity. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like
Yes.
almost goes hand in hand. I was having a hair appointment with my hairdresser, and he's amazing. And he's been in business a really long time. He does like a 10-minute peppermint scrub with every appointment. Like, it's amazing, right? So but we were just talking about like business, and I'm right now, as I'm in realty school, but I'm like a product-based business right now.
Oh yeah.
And like he and I were both just saying how like generosity goes such a long way. And like the client will always remember that. And it's never something you have to worry about, like giving too much. Like there's no, I mean, there's certainly levels, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, right? Like you never have to be afraid that you're going to do too much for them because they're going to remember that, because they're going to feel that from you. If that's like your style,
Yeah.
they're going to know that, and everything kind of goes full circle, you know?
Mm.
Yeah. Generous
Mhm.
with even your time. Spend an extra 5 minutes.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like those little things really add up.
Mhm.
Yeah. And again, it's how you make people feel. Like that's
Mhm.
literally the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a feeling.
It is. It's like most decisions are made, like consumer decisions are made based on feelings. That's the funny thing. There's logic, like numbers, logic, all of that's very important. But at the end of the day, if somebody wants something and feels good about it, like they're gonna do it. That's the wild thing.
I think too, while you're on the path to building that client or getting the client, figuring out who your ideal avatar is, just and how do I make deposits into that account? How can I make deposits into my community's account prior to them transacting with me? So when we're looking at like marketing as a whole, and we have the circle there, and anybody that's talked to me has gone through this, but we look at it and there's 5% of the people in that sphere that are ready to do something today. Those are the people that are ready to transact, to buy, to move forward. And our goal is to move the 95.5 constantly going into the five. So how am I adding value into that audience where they're gonna, when they do go to purchase, buy, or, sell real estate, whatever it is, how do I make sure that I have kept these people here moving forward, engaged, and I've been making deposits into their account. So when they are ready to do something, they're going to come to me for that business. But I think that's like, focusing, I think we tend to focus on that five all the time, and we're leaving out this big space, and we need to focus more over here and keep them moving. So it's going to build that consistency in your business and it will keep your phone ringing and it will keep it moving through. So I'll send out a pie chart to everybody. I love this exercise because it's changed the way that I market and do business now. I said I was going to jump on about email marketing. I don't think I'm going to bore you with that today because I get really geeked out. Next week I will. But I want us to think about that 95, adding deposits. How do I make a deposit? So if we go to the bank and we haven't made any deposits and we're trying to get cash out of it, well, it's dry, right? So you got to like look at it like the equity account. We're adding deposits all the time. So when we get a withdrawal, we got something in there. It's easy. I went on a tangent.
I loved it.
I'm overtired.
I'm obsessed.
You give an example of maybe like 2 or 3 deposits that you would, yeah, just consider deposits. So like, are you speaking about like your welcome emails or hellos or like deposit into your community, deposit into like a cold market, a warm market? If you could just give a couple examples, that'd be awesome.
So I think we have to look at our market. Well, I'm going to call them funnels. I love that word. Just because I only learned what it was a few weeks ago. So now it's my new favorite word. But when we look at like we have our cold here, we have the people that, are kind of warm, and then we have the people that, know, like, and trust. So we're going to move them through in a different way. Our messaging is going to be different to all of them. So our goal is we move these people into this funnel and over here. And the way that I've done that is through email marketing combined with that social media strategy. And it's like the marriage of that. And it changed my whole schematics. Like Rachael and I jumped on and we're doing training with John Cheplack out of the States. And they're just like, they are the business coach of like business coaches. And it's so simple. And the consistency of the message, but the message is always to add value. I'm always contributing. So, Jackie, you're on my agent list. Ed, you're in my list. Jen, you're in my list. You're probably regularly getting emails from me. I'm not really, I don't think, in any of those emails asking you to come and join my brokerage. I'm trying to add something to value. Like, here's a business tip, here's something that won, here's some thought process, a mindset thing. And my goal is that I don't want you to, I want you to open my email. That's all I want. I want you to open my email and it adds something of value to you. I don't want you to unsubscribe. My goal is for you to not unsubscribe. If any of you unsubscribe from me today, I'm gonna don't do it just to be funny either. But doing that consistently, what happens is I'm adding something of value. Hopefully, you guys could be like, oh, hopefully the goal is that I add something of value to you. You start coming over onto my socials. The message is pretty consistent. And then, we're adding value to our community, holding these Zoom calls, right? We're making deposits into that account. We're making deposits into the community, and then we have something to talk about and keep moving it through. Not like anybody wants to change real estate brokerages today. That's a big, huge thing. But if in a few years or something changed where you are currently at, I would be your destination because I've been adding value. I've been demonstrating to you from afar what it would be like to work with me. That's what you have to do to your community. Demonstrate what the experience will be like with you.
You can solve problems, Jackie, with like different pieces of advice targeted at different sectors of who you want to work with, like buyers right now. You can speak directly to them, provide them with value or advice in your videos, even is a great idea. Or value can be sending listings that you think would be appropriate to them, that you think would be helpful. remembering past conversations and following up on certain things that, they were curious about. Even just events, it doesn't have to be your event either. Like it can be like, I just wanted to let you know, I heard you like dogs and they're having a dog show or something. I don't know. I'm grabbing at straws. For me, it would be like a mom event, like, oh, they're doing an event at this baby store, just letting your people know that you understand them. It's just like being a friend, really. It's kind of like, hey, I thought about you and thought this might be of interest. How can like this might be helpful,
And I would veer away from any selling in your email strategy. No selling, no asking, no, now's a good time to buy, none of that. Um, what are common things that buyers are saying in today's market? What are we seeing in the market? We're seeing a lot of reduced prices. Um, Sarah, everybody wants great stocking stuffers. Here's my answer. Company gifts, that's my answer. I'm here to deliver that to you.
solve that problem.
Carla, you don't have the camera on, but you have such a great spiritual message, sending out daily things to your database. So just here's a spiritual practice for today. There's just so many things to touch and to add value.
Yep.
And then copying that exact email right over into your social post. Exact. We're creating consistent messaging too.
And you can't, like, if you think, how do I say this? You can't repeat yourself too many times.
Oh,
You think you are, but you're not. Like, just keep repeating yourself. Actually, that is marketing. Marketing is repeating your message over and over and over again.
1,000 times.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
the right people will hear it when they're ready. And your message is worth repeating. It's the same message. So we don't want to have 20,000 other messages. And then they're like, what does she even do? Our message is consistent. When we say it a lot, and the right people will show up and hear the message when they're ready. The audience, because the audience, that 95 is starting to move over into fives, right? So remember that goal. So when they're ready, that 5% is going to hear that in the right way, and then they're going to transact.
Yeah.
Did any of that make sense?
When I started in real estate, I'll never forget my broker told me, I was like, oh, I'll talk about like saging houses and leaving crystals out and all this stuff. And she's like, oh God, no, do not do that. Do not do that. You will decrease your base um substantially, right? And she's like, you just want to be everything to everyone, sort of thing. Right, exactly. Like so not like and I mean it's fine, but it doesn't put any heart or set you apart from anybody else in your industry. And then you see some people like there's Holly from Ingersoll, like this is just real estate industry and stuff, but like constantly putting out these inspirational messages and things like that, which is so cool. But it is interesting when you start in a career to be careful who you're taking that
Advice from.
guidance from, right? Like any career, any business.
We went to the EXP conference yesterday. I was careful not to get EXP'd for anybody in the room afraid for me. Anyway, it was pretty phenomenal. They had this Jennifer Jones. She's pretty much a powerhouse, and she was on this ladies panel, and she was exactly that. And she said her business changed for her exactly when she started showing up in her authentic self, but her authentic self was very spiritual. She believed in the universe, and she now has a team of 50 agents under her and sells like all these lakefront properties on the other side of Toronto. And her main message was, I show up as exactly that. I have the same conversations with this person as that person. It was under that spiritual guise. And you're my people. Yeah, so show up as you. I don't even know what time we're at today, guys.
7:54. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Do we have a clear direction for this week? Map, tools, guide, objection, handle it. Anybody wants to jump on a call with me and talk a little bit more about the email? I know it can get a little boring, but I'm happy to talk through that and just work through a process of what I think works. I wanted to say what I think you should be doing. I'm very bossy.
It's fun and creative and exciting. So
It's really cool because it works. And when you start doing this stuff, like just in that process, and you're like, oh my God, it works.
it's wild.
It's
You're like,
crazy.
oh,
All right, party people. I have to go to bed.
It's bedtime, is right.
me too. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
Message me in the
Bye-bye.
group or on Instagram if you have
bye,
questions.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.